Live from the apocalypse, please, Snoop Dogg, retire the Bootsy Collins impression. This is State of the Game. I am here live from my first listen of Mount Westmore. And I'm here to tell you, thank you for being here. State of the Game for another week. I am your gracious host, the MF Doom of all the local Popeyes in my area, Dano. And my co-host, integral part of this, for anybody who's listening for the first time, right? We have what is called in the business a rotating hitch situation, right? Where we make each other cool every other episode, right? We're all Kevin James some days. Will Smith some days. It's a rotating hitch situation with K Diggy. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, man.
And being whichever role you choose to play. So we are lucky here today. We're talking about trends in 2022 with two great producers, and one of them has pumped up the volume and made made the loudest album I heard this year. I'm just going to put it out there. Mighty Healthy with Mighty Cannons. That is the loudest album. Now, we were supposed to have Jason Griff, but Jason Griff has extreme canker sores, and you should send him an e-card. You can still send him an e-card. But he's busy. He subbed in the great Mighty Healthy. Always love to talk to. Always on Instagram Live. So shout out to everybody there. And one of the real, I've been wanting to talk to this kid for years, but this is the perfect year for it because this is the mind behind Metal Lung. Production-wise, we're talking about Steel Tip Dove, one of the best sounding albums of the year, bar none. So, two samurais with blood on their swords here who are going to talk to us about 2022 as a year and make Kay and me much smarter in the process. So, yes. Very happy to have you. I have a question to kick off after that long introduction.
Okay.
This question is, and this is Mighty Healthy loves negative stuff. He's cantankerous sort. So we're getting right into it here. We're going to talk about one production trend you would really like to stop. It could be a narrative. It could be a trend. It's anything, right? Anything that is just enough with it. And the other side of it, production trend that absolutely compelled you this year. And if nobody can go, I have mine locked and loaded.
Well, yeah, I don't want to start with negativity, so
start with positive.
Well, I'm gonna let you start.
Okay, I will start. I'll start negative and just say, because I trend positive, even though I'm a pessimistic person. I will say that my negative thing is I really want people to stop arguing about drumless beats, right? Just in the sense that it seems like if I angrily went up to Kay and said, "What shirt's the best shirt? Black shirt, red shirt, shirt." Kay'd be like, "What?
For me or you?"
There's lots of shirts. There's orange shirts, yellow shirts. Leave me alone. It's a dumb question that we have to pick between lots of drums or no drums. Yeah. Go ahead.
It was hard for me because I read the email with the PDF and it was hard for me to come up with a negative trend. So I'm glad you said that because I'm just there. I don't write lyrics. I don't rap. I don't sing. I'm there to service the song. Like if I'm going to put out a beat tape, I want to put out a beat tape. I'll probably pick different beats for that. But if I'm going to give beats to a rapper, I want them to choose it and then make a good rap song. So I've been, because I used to struggle with sometimes I sample to make beats a lot. and I would struggle if I didn't do enough with the sample or enough with the flip or da da da. But finally, like over time, just talking to myself, like, no, you're there to. I'm not the one that's gonna use this beat. I want to give the beat to a rapper. So whatever I got to do to service the song at the end of the day. So if yank the drums out, yank the fucking drums out.
Yeah, like the problem with the argument is that it's too small of an argument. Like,
yeah,
as someone who is 100% pro drums, even I know when not to use them. So the argument is really about lazy production. And the thing is, there's a lot of people that are for the most part drumless, but they do a lot of processing work. They do a lot of stuff to make it them. And like, there's some drumless guys that do more work on a drumless beat than people with drums and bass. Like, I've heard plenty of stuff with drums and bass that sound terrible. I can mention offline who, because I'm going to be nice today. But
I would say even the ones that, let's say, they don't do a lot, they just loop it up, maybe change the loop once. If they put somebody like fucking Bruiser Wolf on, it's going to be one of the best. Like, it's going to turn out one of the best rap songs. So like, even if they don't do that extra processing and shit like that, like, but you're right. Like, a lot of producers, Alchemist or whatever, or whoever does the drumless shit. Yeah, if you listen closely, they're doing intricate things.
Yeah, like Alchemist, for example, will make you think something's drumless, but he's so good at processing drums in a sample that it blends very well. Yeah, like the real argument is it's not some, it's like they're talking about two things that are just have nothing. There's so much of a bigger argument than that.
I would say that argument probably comes mostly from people who don't put their hands on making music, like don't like do it themselves, like with their hands and mouth.
It always is, yeah. It always is.
By the way,
or don't do it good enough.
Yeah.
Which is okay. It's okay to not know anything about music. I don't know anything about music, but the thing is, listen and ask good questions, but don't be angry yelling when you don't know anything about what you're talking about. Right?
Exactly. Like, and my thing is, it's like, and again, you know, I'm someone who's very pro drum, but the thing is, certain people are not for that. And so you can't judge someone's like, oh, why don't they don't do that. That's not what they like. I'm not going to get mad because Earl Sweatshirt doesn't really use drums like that. Like, that's not what he does.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like, you can't be mad for somebody that it's just not their thing.
No, and so that's my negative one. By the way, I would say earlier in the year there was like a lot of discussion. I'm a part of 17 discords at least. And it's, my phone is just working all day. So a lot of those discussions were Craven, is Craven good? Is Craven this? Is Craven that? And then Craven put out Fair Exchange No Robbery with Boldy, and we were all just like, this is fucking great. Like, Craven has, like, you know, that deaded the whole thing. We were just done arguing about Craven. We were like, this
service of the songs, the rap songs that those turned
good.
Into, you know what I mean?
I love this.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. At the end of the day, even if I don't like it or someone doesn't like it, you service the whole point was what you said. You service the artist, and the thing is out. It's like, you could argue with, let me put drums on, like, it's out already. Like, come on, man.
You get a really good rapper to put a really good verse on it. You're like, oh, I don't really care about the drums anymore. I'm listening to this beat with this music with this verse. Like, that's what I'm listening to now, you know?
Yeah. No, it's and so my positive trend that I was absolutely compelled by, and I riveted, and I hope continues, right? Now, we were there, Kay. We were there. Figga came on here on this tiny little podcast and said, look, these people that are talking shit about the conductor tag, they don't know what they're getting into. He was like, conductor is not somebody to fuck with, and if you keep fucking with him and talking shit, he's gonna triple up, he's gonna 17 up that tag.
Oh my God, it's the worst tag in the world.
And he absolutely fucking did, man. If you listen to the songs on fucking Rome Streets, dude, Kiss the Ring, he like sneaks it in. He'll like sneak it in the background. There's one point in one of the songs in the early part of it where he like just loads it up at the end. Conductor, we have a conductor, and you can't even hear the rest of the verse.
Isn't that kind of, not for nothing, but that's a joint decision.
I love it.
You know what I mean? Like the artist can very easily, and I'm sure conductor would probably, maybe not, but most producers, if you're like, you have 7 tags here, can you put it down to 1? Most producers would be like, yeah, we're putting out the rap song, I'll cut it down to just the 1 tag. So that's both of those people making that decision. So for people being mad at conductor, they need to be mad at the whole shit.
Yeah, and the thing is, the artist, once again, servicing the artist is going to, they're like, that's what they seek him for. I may
Imagine
not
me
like
putting
it,
a bunch of tags in a Billy Woods track. He'd be like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Mute all that. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's a decision made by multiple people.
Absolutely.
Hey, can't you see West Side Gun sitting somewhere with his fingers like this, being like, internet's gonna
more
hate
tags.
Yeah, it's like their punchline. You know, like Urkel had "Did I do that?" And every time he said it, people loved it. I guess when they hear the conductor tagline, they just love it. People can't get enough of it. So give the people what they want.
You know, I hate it, but I respect the double down. You know, I respect it. You know, oh, y'all didn't like this? Okay.
That's it. That's it, Mighty Healthy. The fact that this one individual was like, fuck the internet, I'm gonna fight it. Like, oh my God, really? You're not Kanye. You don't have an army.
Have you seen the video?
You're just a guy. Like, this is amazing.
Have you seen the video he got the tag from?
Yeah.
No, I heard about it though.
Yeah.
It's like
I mean, it's smart. Like I hate it, but I respect it. You know, just keep doubling down. I'm never gonna listen to it, but keep doing it. I respect it.
Absolutely.
It's was it like a DC Metro call or something? Was it like a DC...
something like that?
The guy having a fucking meltdown on a subway. Not New York, somewhere else. He's literally, it's very literal. He's pressing the button and it's not like, it's literally someone pressing the button saying, conductor, we have a problem. Like,
it's like a 2-minute video.
Yeah, he goes off the whole time. Like,
that's beautiful. Drop the video in the comments, people.
Boom.
You gotta see. So yeah, but it's that's that I couldn't get enough of it, just because like when you're in the underground, you can, like, most people are playing it nice. Most people are trying to level up, shake as much hands as they can, and for someone to just be like, yeah, I'm the trending topic and it's bad and I don't give a fuck, like, that takes a lot of cojones.
You can't, you have to respect it, you know.
You have to respect.
I fuck with it.
And absolutely, we love pettiness.
Yep. It must be an element of hip hop. At some pettiness has to be in there.
Oh, for sure. Like, especially, well, I don't want to talk about myself, but yeah, we'll talk about it later.
KRS-One will agree. KRS-One would agree. So Dub, is there anything either way that you loved or that you didn't love about the narratives around production in 2022?
Well, I struggled with that one too, but I'm happy that you have that album cover as your background, because I would love to see stuff just getting weirder and weirder. Like, just go ahead and get like as strange as possible with it. Everyone has been pushing rap specifically, because rap and hip hop is like, you can fit it is the best genre of music of all genres, because I feel like you can fit the most ideas into the shortest amount of time, and like people are just getting weirder and weirder, and like that preaching in Havana shit, so weird. But the scene is there's people the people are more open than they used to be, so I like it to trend weirder. And this is a little bit biased because my shit is weird, so.
Yeah, but it's hard though. Yeah.
One of the things, like when I first was kicking it with Kay and talking about like the underground stuff, one of the first things I talked to you about was like the connective relationship between the underground and the pop sphere, right? That like someone will do something really weird, like preaching in Havana, and over here, like, there's a pop rapper, A$AP Rocky being like, maybe we can stretch the time signatures just a little bit, but not as much. And they create a halfway version of that. that becomes a popular thing. And the pop people look at the pop artists like that so-and-so's a genius because they don't see the connective thread all the way through.
Yeah. I mean, the innovation comes from the underground. And then, like, you know, the mainstream, the pop, they just adopt it and figure out a way to polish it up and sell it.
Yeah.
But they can't afford to really take, I mean, I can't really think of a lot of, you know, pop mainstream artists that have taken risk of recent.
Yeah, it's a different word. The word risk isn't necessarily the word you can use when you're talking about pop artists that are at the very least very big nationally and most of them globally. So yeah, you can't really, risk becomes, you know, who really can, what kind of risks can you take, you know? But yeah, it is interesting. Also, I feel like people don't talk about a lot, like at least 50%, if not more, giant stars started submitting their shit to blogs too. Like, started as weirdo regular people just being like, will you listen please? And then luck and talent, a mixture of the both, those people become fucking giant stars. But they were also sending their shit off to like, will you listen to this weird shit I made on GarageBand? And then 7 years later they're playing Coachella, you know, like it's the same shit. Like it's the connective tissue is literal. Like it's
yeah, look at the Tyler the Creator story, right? Of like the most, like the two dope boys not even fucking with you. And then like to be like, you know, winning awards.
Like Anderson .Paak too, like
totally.
Huge.
Wow.
Yep. No, that's 100%. And there's, you know, for an example, I would think would be Yeezus, right? When Yeezus came out, everybody was like, "Thank you, Kanye, for inventing this beautiful thing called drill music." And no one got credit, but okay, right? And like, and some of the, you know, major producers involved in drill like didn't get any looks, you know, because of that. So yeah, there's a thing there, but yeah, that's something that came from something. But yeah, 2022, getting weirder. It makes sense, and I think this was a very weird year. Because there were so many different directions. Everybody was picking a different direction, right? Like I listen to all the hip hop podcasts and interviews, and I know that when Shrapnel went in the studio with you, they said we want a different sound than the first one, right? Yeah. And it felt like a lot of artists were saying that. I don't want this album to sound like the last album.
Yeah. Especially because artists are making more albums now, so naturally they're just, as artists, going to be like, well, I'm going to do different shit because I'm from myself. I can't keep doing the same thing. Like,
right.
Yep.
Now, so not only do you have to distinguish yourself with your competitors, but now you have to start distinguishing yourself from your actual self as well. So
yes, you can get real bored as a person on a computer or on a screen making stuff, like even stuff that you love.
Right.
You can get bored with yourself pretty easily.
That's true.
Man, yeah.
So getting weirder with it helps.
Mighty Healthy, give me a trend, a negative trend that you want gone.
A negative trend. This actually might tie into the next topic. But I don't know if you guys follow Plies on Instagram. And like this is gonna tie in perfectly. Like, you remember, I don't know if any of you guys saw like his whole thing about like Thanksgiving leftovers, where he's just like, all right, you cook the food Wednesday, okay, cool. Thursday, good. Friday, okay, good. Saturday, okay. Sunday, you're pushing it. And so that's how I feel about people like chasing Griselda sounds. Like 2018, awesome, fine. 2019, good. 2020, 2021, okay. 2020, come on now. Like you come on. Even they don't do that anymore.
That's a fair thing. And Mighty Healthy, going to your point, I think I was thinking about this with TDE a little bit, like in the sense that TDE really did kick off a sound, right? A counter sound. It was very based on like tones. There was no overwhelming beats in TDE. Never put on a TDE and be like, wow, this is
moody.
Crowded. Yeah. So it was moody, yeah. And so that wave kind of hit and then crested, and we're kind of like nobody's really checking for that kind of sound.
No, listen, I'm listening to SZA's album tonight. If you guys want, we could stay on the call, put it on, all listen together.
Oh man, wait.
But like this is why SZA makes so much sense for TDE, because in R&B you can have moody, sparse beats, and it's great. Like it's about the voice, showcasing the voice, showcases the lyricism of the voice. I think, it's been interesting to see them maneuver, right? Isaiah Rashad took that kind of moody sound and made it a little bouncier, a little more Memphis. Right. And that was good. But like they've had to maneuver what they do a little bit because things have changed.
Yeah, it's I think a lot of people are going through that. Like even myself, like I'm bored with my current sound. And so now I'm trying to find, like Ace and I talk about the next one, Mike talk. So I'm like, okay, we've done these. Now what? And it's beginning to feel like that's kind of like it's like all of us are going through that.
The only solution is to listen to other people's shit obsessively, new random music you haven't listened to obsessively.
I have a hypothesis on this, Kay. So let's say you're Mighty Healthy. You've made your first beat ever in 2019. And you gain popularity, right? I like Mighty Healthy because Mighty Healthy does X. So if you give them X, the next album, after you blow up with X, that is when you have entered into a relationship where they will bind you to that, right? They need X. But if the next album you give them Y, and then the next album you give them Z, and after 3 of those or so, your fan base will be like, that's Mighty Healthy. He's always doing something different.
Exactly.
Chance to change. Like you never hear a Billy Woods fan going, this album sounds different. Like they understand that Woods is not going to give you the same thing. So they enjoy that relationship, but you got to set the table.
You have to set the table, and you have to keep X every time you go up. So it's like you got to keep that foundation and make it new, but still retain yourself. So it's
which is why and this is why sometimes one producer albums can be challenging if you don't, because like my goal when I do these projects is to try to cover as much as the full spectrum as I can. Like even though Mighty Cannons is mostly like, but there's still nuances to that. Like you have more bouncy stuff like FKS, you have some drumless moments, like you have kind of maybe fast, slow stuff in between. Like there's still range. Like I can't give you the intro 10 times. I don't want to just be known for that. So it's just like how to keep it interesting as a producer is still find ways to cover that full spectrum, but while also being yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You only started making beats 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Nice, dude. That's dope.
Not bad. Not bad. So yeah. Does that make sense, Kay, as a hypothesis that you have to kind of...
I mean, I think the way that you do that is you have to establish like a clear voice. Like you look at like a Kanye at the beginning, like he established like a clear voice, a clear character. And then, you take that character and you can bring them in the different worlds, different different soundscapes. And I just think it's really difficult nowadays just to create that character or that voice that really resonates and connects with people. that's the challenge that artists are running into.
Yeah, but I think I don't want to spend all the time on Kanye, but I would say I think Kanye established that signature sound with soul samples and stuff like that. And then there was a little bit of a revolt when he wanted to go away from that.
Well, he used I think he expanded it. So like you start in one technique, and then you slowly and you strategically expand it until it morphs into something else like entirely. Yeah, and I think he did a good job in terms of that.
Yeah, and like, there's never that's one thing I respected about it. It's like he never woke up and like, you know what, I need to bring back College Dropout. There's always an evolution taking you places, even if you weren't like, really, you're gonna sing? Like, we're gonna wait, hold on, like, why is this so loud? Like, why is he but like, he's gonna take you in directions you didn't even want to go to. But it kind of all makes sense at the end, because it's like, if he kept pumping out College Dropout, we'll get tired of it. And it's just like, the worst thing you want to do as a producer and an artist is just like become a parody of yourself. So it's just like, you still have to find ways to expand, like, even if you still want to do like a particular kind of sound.
But yeah, Dove had a great point that you still want to keep your foundation, right? Because if from this project to the next project you don't carry over anything, then you're not able to use what you learned, right? That sucks. You still want to carry over probably 30% of what you've done to be able to, which, like, I love Kelly Chris's Death Fame, because, and some people are like, it isn't as innovative as Innocent Country 2 or this and that. I'm like, no, it's a culmination of all those skills that he built over these years. Death Fame is the most professional and efficient. Like Kelly,
I don't say this lightly at all whatsoever. I know it's a crazy thing to say, but I stand by it. Death Fame is maybe one of the closest things to Mad Villain since Mad Villain.
I love it. That's awesome.
If you listen to it, the samples and the way the album moves and travels from beginning to end with it's Death Fame is brilliant, bro. I was blown away by that record. Yep.
It's so polished that it feels like a victory lap of learning your skill set, right? And we have to learn to be fascinated by that, and not just fascinated by albums where someone's breaking down completely. Like, that's not, a positive relationship if we're always just like, are you sure you're not at the end of your rope? Because I love those albums.
Yeah, which is the challenge for me is, like, I tell people that Mighty Cannons is the King Mighty 2 sequel. Right. Because obviously, like, that's the next thing I worked on, but the techniques from there is also what I applied to there, but then also brought in new things. So like what you said, that 30%, like, not quite cutting it off, because, King Mighty 2, I was inspired by different things. And with Mighty Cannons, it was also different things. And I was also like emotionally going through other stuff. So carrying that 30% is also important.
Yeah. Yeah. Because some albums you're like, King Mighty 2 felt like you really learning pace.
Yeah.
And like how not just how songs transition into each other, but how an album story goes, right? Cohesion in that sense. And that wasn't even what you were learning on Mighty Cannons 2, right? So because you had already learned that, and so you were pulling that over. What did you learn making Metal Long, Dove?
How brilliant those dudes are. Castro, but that shit, comes up with the song names and puts it in, helps put it in order, with Prem or whatever. And I learned, I learned that I am capable of post-production still, because I hadn't done too much of that in a while. It'd been a few years just because of the type of projects I was working on. I didn't get to do like full post-production on a whole album of with one artist, so I learned more techniques for post-production. I think.
Well, were you guys in person for that?
Yeah, they were here.
Oh, nice, awesome.
Yeah, they picked out a pack, and then when the demos got pretty much close to their parts being done, Castro especially was like, "Could you add even more to these?" And I was like, "Yeah, I wanted to, and since you're asking, I definitely will." And then just added to kind of all of them.
So another question for you, because I'm like, how much of so like that project, for example, like how much of that initial kind of run of the album was from like one pack per se?
That particular album, probably of my beats, because there's a Olaf Melander beat, and then there's a couple child actor beats.
Yeah.
From my beats that made the album, bro, I want to say at least 80 to 95% of the first pack I sent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the one I was going to ask you, Dove, is like, I just kind of want to talk about Shrapnel first songs for a minute.
Yeah.
Like on the debut album, Ghostface Targaryen, it's like one of my favorite first songs on an album in recent memory. And then Running Rebel Swordplay,
yeah, crazy,
is wonderful. And
that child actor killed it.
Wonderful. And I just wanted, like, how do you feel about the place that those first songs have, and how they select them, and how good those guys are at knowing where they should be?
Great, yeah. Judging by the first two records, it's they're batting 1,000 right now. So yeah, it's pretty awesome to say, like, because they both individually have long storied careers, overlapping collaborators, different scenes, but very overlapping collaborators and friends on tour with artists who have now gotten very, very popular. And it feels so natural, even though it came so much later on. It's very cool to watch. And yeah, Castro's definitely brilliant at being like, this is the song night and this is where it's going. We're opening with this. Let's go.
That's awesome. The child actor is a great topic. Okay, I love when a producer comes out of nowhere for everyone, and everyone kind of discovers them at once, and they seem to have a completely different kind of speed and swing as everyone else.
Oh yeah.
Like, and that to me, that was child actor, right? When we did the I Told Bessie thing, you heard a lot of child actor beats.
Yeah.
How did you feel about what was different with child actor?
I love Bessie. So that was a Lucid's album, right?
Yep.
I thought there was a lot of space, a lot of darkness, a lot of what's the word? Pathos to the beats. Yeah, I really liked that album.
I embarrassed myself when I met child actor, because I was such a fan of his beats, and being a producer, I was like, "Yo, did you use this technique to make these?" And he was like, "Well, some of them." And I was like, "All right, dope," because I just did a thing that embarrasses me that people do to me. So cool. And I let off with that because I was loving that album too. I'm glad to hear you say you liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he killed it.
No, child actor just has a different motion from everybody else.
Yeah.
Different swing, maybe. I felt like this about Roper Williams too. I felt like Roper was just kind of, everything he did stuck out to me. I was like, "Ooh, that's a Roper Williams," and yeah, signature sounds are always interesting. Mighty Healthy. Is there anybody you can think of who developed like a signature sound for you this year, where when the beat starts, it's them?
Oh man, I have like the most safest answer ever.
Good.
Whatchamacallit? Well, first to kind of piggyback off that and kind of bleed into probably another topic, like I liked how this year we're starting to see a bit more identity. So, like what you mentioned with child actor. I haven't heard much, but what I've heard, I'm like, okay, this is I put him in, I identify this, I see this. We're beginning to see more identity, moving away from things that people think works and just people just trying shit. And yeah, my answer's Hit Boy. I love fucking King's Disease 3. I heard, like, to me, like, Magic came out in December, and so me, December albums count as the next year. So it's just like, I don't know, I like it.
Yeah.
It's very
it's the safest answer ever.
I mean, it's like a Hit Boy beat. What it was, somebody on Twitter said that Hit Boy makes like expensive bar mitzvah rap music. I thought that was, but like,
yeah.
But that's all rap. That's kind of all good rap. That's like
the thing is again, like, one producer projects are kind of hard to do if a producer's one-dimensional. He is clearly not one-dimensional. He's able to cover the full spectrum of, like, he could turn up, he can go drumless, he can go, like, to me, Michael and Quincy, I'm like,
man.
I added that to my folder of shit I wish I did. Like, motherfucker.
What's that?
Yeah, you know, so
what is that? Is that the name of a Nas song?
Yeah. It's like, it's there's 5 beat switches, it's crazy. And he has, and the thing is, you know, also servicing the producer. Like, Nas found new ways to rap working with this guy. So I'm just like, they need to just keep doing this, keep pissing off half the fan base to want to make an album with Premier for some reason. And like, they just need to keep cranking these out, because like they're getting better at working with each other. So
absolutely. And I think what's special about that project is, I think it's so, like, not, no pun intended, but so light. You know what I mean? We're not in mainstream hip hop this year. We haven't gotten like that light, jazzy sound. You know, like, it's so, hip hop is so dark now.
Well, and Kay, so one of the questions I had was, how does everybody feel like about trap, right? Because trap feels like a boxer at the end of his career who's dead on his feet. Like, it's like Little Baby put out this album. I think it was like 3 hours long, and all the beats sounded like the same beat. Like, it's just that trap stuff, right? It's like, could have come off a Trapaholics mixtape, right? And I think Gucci Mane just put out, you know, an enormously long So Icy Boys thing with a bunch
80 songs.
Bunch of those same
80 songs.
Yeah.
He's not on every song. Like, it's his crew, but it's still 80 joints. That probably not the largest amount of range.
And you know that he was like hitting up Zaytoven and Sunny Digital and just like these same, like,
well, those dudes have record contracts to fulfill. It's I wouldn't say it's equivalent to a day job, but you know, kind of most of the artists that you're talking about right now, I think are probably under contract for some larger companies.
Yeah, and the thing is, to me, I think repetition is subjective. You know, like, people could say trap sounds the same, but then people could turn around and say, like, you know, like, every West Side Project sounds the same. You know, it's just subjective on whether that's what you want to hear or not.
Right.
But as far as trap, I mean, as a producer, like, I feel like every producer should learn at least how trap works. You know, there's still, like, you have a good understanding of bass, you'll understand like hi-hat motion, like you'll understand basic arrangement. Like, to me, every looper should learn trap stuff, at least just know it. You know, I'm not saying you got to do it, your backpack might disappear, but
also, I feel like there could just be any song. I feel like I'll hear a trap song 10 years from now that I fucking love. It's if it's a song I love.
Exactly.
You know, like, and it's still, but yeah,
because the thing is, when, like, I don't remember if I tweeted this or not, but I'm like, there's people that are so anti-trap, but then I played the Vol.138 intro, you know, like the whole joint, and it's a trap beat from 1999. It just wasn't called a trap beat. Nice. So it's like, what are people really mad at? Are they mad at hi-hats? Are they mad at a 10 BPM difference? Like, what are they really mad at? Are they mad at a cold sound? Like what?
Yeah,
because
I think
there's sample-based trap. Alchemist does it, you know, so it's just like, what are we talking about?
Well, and I think some of the trap sound getting worn down is that the sound isn't markedly different than it was 5 years ago, right? And like, so in the pop space, that's odd, but like, I want to be clear, like, I love a lot of pop stuff this year, and one of the ones I was thinking about, one of my favorite songs of the year is a bonus track on Flo Milli's album, and it's called Roaring 20s. And it's produced by Kenny Beats, and I think he sampled Yentl and put it in the beat. You got it's unbelievable, and she shreds it, and it's wonderful. And like, so Kenny Beats is one of those people who I love.
What about you guys fuck with Baby Keem?
Oh yeah, Baby Keem.
That's all trap sounding beats.
It took me a while to get used to his voice. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
That's
especially when he gets it really up there, when he's like trying to be annoying.
I just feel like mosquitoes just.
Oh yeah, I love that shit. That's one of my favorite albums from last year.
I want to make this like an actual term, like, because there's terms I apply to rap music that only live in my head. Baby Keem is an astronaut, right? Baby Keem is somebody who is walking on a brand new planet.
Yeah,
picking up random shit. Like,
I think he took Kanye, Kendrick, Drake, and mixed them all together, and is like doing weird Playboy Cardi shit with it and making it like move forward. Because there's a couple songs on that album that are just sort of like basic pop, couple chord tracks, and he just sings on, and they're a la 808s and Heartbreak, or they're very Frank Ocean-y, and I think he's trying to get in that, like he's trying to be a household name like that, and he does it pretty fucking well.
Yeah, I mean, and overall, like, he's just a kid that makes fun music. So it's
just
like, there's nothing wrong with more fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think you contrast, like, if you're having fun, you're kind of contrasting yourself from the rest of the market, because a lot of these guys they're not having fun.
Yeah. I mean, the test for me, Kay, is I'll put on a Baby Keem song, and even if I'm like, God, this shit is annoying, his voice is annoying, like, there's a voice in the back of my head saying, you've never heard anything like this.
You mix the beat with the voice, and since you're a fan of hip hop, it's a vibe, and you're like, oh, this goes hard.
So,
he's annoying as fuck. This goes hard. Like, both of those thoughts exist at the same time. You're like,
this is so extreme that it is beautiful. He's an astronaut, right? Like, there's nobody else doing it. Yeah, so that's the kind of cool that you remember, like, when Young Thug was doing his like Southern California white girl voice all the time, and we had never heard any shit like that. And we were like, holy shit. You know,
imagine how Lil Wayne sounded to 45-year-olds when Lil Wayne first dropped. Like,
oh man,
they must have just been like, what the fuck, get at, and then now we're here.
Yeah, I remember hearing Wayne for the first time, right? Like, so a dude in my platoon was from New Orleans, was breaking all this shit down for me, and he was like,
Hot Boys.
He was explaining like the Cash Money label like it was the Justice League. Here's what Turk does, and here's what he's just breaking it all down. And he put on Lights Off, and I was like, Jesus. I was not ready for Lights Off. I mean, it was just something immediately catchy about everything he fucking said. Yeah, dangerous individual. Like, my pick, Mighty Healthy, for the greatest kid rapper of all time.
Wayne?
Does it count? He don't count.
He was 13 when he had $1 million.
He was a kid. His debut album, he was like 16 or 15.
Because you couldn't have been a more professional rapper at that young of age. They paid him so much, like,
right.
Because when I think kid rapper, I think kid rapper that stayed a kid rapper, never evolved. But wow, he counts then. Okay, yeah, exactly.
I'm talking about like
shining, like yeah. Okay.
I'm talking about, if you tell me pick one 16-year-old in the history of rap music, I'm taking Wayne and everyone's going to be mad that I didn't take Nas, and I'm going to be like, oh well.
You know? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
How old was he? 18 when like Illmatic dropped? Nas 17.
I feel like he was around 16 making it though. I feel like he was.
Maybe.
Yeah, but yeah. Either way, I'd go Wheezy. But yeah. Anyway, that's aside from it. But yeah, in 2022, another interesting thing that happened, Kay. Because I wasn't sure how I felt about the 30-minute album. Right. I'm old. I'm very old, and I was like, by the end of the year, I was like, ooh, give me more 30-minute albums. I love it.
Oh, this was on your PDF. Yep.
Give me 10 songs, 30 minutes. Thank you.
I'm smiling because I literally made a 30, like I even stretched out like the final session to stretch it out to make it exactly 30:00. Spotify fucked it up. They put 29:59. I was so pissed. But like
now you know
I intentionally I'm like, yo,
next time.
No, it's 30:01 in Apple, which kind of pisses me off too. I'm like, oh my
so
god,
you can't even fucking. Man. You gotta make it 30.5.
Brutal.
So yeah, so but I don't know. These 30-minute albums are fun because, like, economically, people want to put out more stuff. It still works with vinyl. And but like my challenge was because with King Mighty 2, 15 songs, I felt it was a little long, even though it still flowed very well. But I'm like, okay, next time I want to still feel like I made 15 songs, but cram them into 10. And like those are fun to do. Those are fun to do.
And what are the techniques that you use to do that cramming?
So with and so this is kind of this ties into the earlier conversation about carrying that 30%. Because of the fact I was heavily inspired like by Mad Villainy, a lot of Dilla stuff, making King Mighty 2. So I had skits, I had other stuff. With Mighty Cannons, I didn't want to do that. And if I wanted skits, it has to be on the song. And we would also have a lot of these kind of loose ideas because like Ace and I talk all the time. We're like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I'll make a beat based on what we just talked about, and he'll go through a verse, but it might not fit any song. I'm like, all right, well, fuck it, that's a beat switch now. We'll tack this on there. So it was just techniques like that. And I really wanted something really, really just concise. I wanted it 30 minutes, like a Dragon Ball Z episode, because we were just heavy DBZ, and like you could tell by the cover and stuff.
Yeah.
So just everything, like the whole goal was just 30 minutes.
Yeah. Dove, how long is Days Past Strange?
27 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Less than 30. I've been bitten by the LP, the vinyl bug. So all the projects that I worked on this year that'll come out next year, and I tried to make either 20 minutes or 40 minutes of music, just so I know that if I wanted to, I could press it to either a vinyl 12-inch EP or a vinyl 12-inch LP. So all the artists that I worked with, when we started to realize that we were going to make full projects, I would be like, listen, either write 20 minutes or write 40 minutes. And then they would write 50 or 60 minutes, and then we would cut down to 40, or they would just write 40,
Yeah, it always feels better that way when you have a lot and want to trim down versus like, okay, how are we gonna pad this runtime?
But that's new to me. Like, that's only because I've been bitten by the, I've been my first mixtape that got any sort of attention whatsoever was 39 tracks and had 42 artists on it or something. It was, probably an hour and 45 minutes long or something like that, if not two. So I've come a long way, but only because of the vinyl stuff have I started to like view stuff in that, wanting to do that 30 to 40 minutes or 20, like.
Yeah, that'd have been a 7 vinyl release, man.
Yeah.
That's a box set.
You got to get a crate.
Yep. So Kay, interesting to contrast, like, so Mighty Cannons and Days Past Strange both need to be around 30 minutes for different reasons, right? Mighty Healthy is pummeling you with the energy and sonic volume, and that's awesome in 10 songs. But over an hour, you're worried about it. You're losing hearing. It's not going to your family's reaching out to you and all that. So Days Past Strange is so, and you should check it if you haven't, Kay. It is.
Yeah, I've listened.
It is so emotional. It's
yes,
like brutal as a first listen, that you kind of have to have it for 30 minutes and then be able to digest it.
Yeah, I mean, particularly, I think it hit me. Let's see, was it the song "My Angel"?
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went really crazy on that one.
Yeah, yeah.
All energy from the jump.
Yeah.
And I think it works. I think as a society, we've moved towards like you look at visual media, like the most popular works of art in the visual media this year were not like movies, they were like limited series.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like where, there was a start, and maybe sometimes even the limited series even equal up to like a long movie or something. But people's attention and people's expectation are like, look, I want something pretty light that I can binge very quickly, digest very quickly, and I want it to make sense and be efficient story-wise.
Yeah, and kind of something I also realized on like the pop front, the albums are still long. And what Dove mentioned, because of the fact that vinyl isn't part of the business, really, like they don't care. Like they want 58 songs so it can stream and stuff. They're not really concerned with vinyl. And that's something I just thought. I'm like, oh yeah, that is true.
Yeah, because I think that's how like underground and pop are divergent. Like you said, like SZA's album came out this morning. That's 23 tracks.
Definitely.
And so the mainstream projects are getting longer. Like, like
streams.
Kendrick's album was a double album. But the underground are getting shorter and more concise.
Yeah, because the mainstream guys can afford to put out one project and go away for 5 years. Whereas
that's true.
Whereas some of us were like, okay, we're gonna put out, especially on the producer side, we're like, okay, we're putting out this project with this guy, this project with this guy, maybe a beat tape full of leftovers at the end of the year, and then but 10, 9.5.
No, like I think the album that really got me thinking about the 30-minute thing in a new way was Coco Drillo Turbo, the Action Bronson.
Oh, the Action Bronson. I was like, what the fuck?
I was wow, like 30 minutes of Action Bronson rapping really well is perfect. Like,
yes, because also the successful versions of these artists that are putting out a lot of these projects that are 20 to 40 minutes, like they're doing a couple a year, if not at least one a year. They're doing it pretty consistently. They're creative and they're in a really good creative spaces. A lot of these artists, there's incredible art all year being made, and like if the demand is there, and demand both, like meaning quite literally as well, like, hey, just so you know, if you drop another one, I got you $25, $30, whatever it is, I'm gonna cop it. I'm ready when you are. Like the demand is built in. A lot of these artists, like it's not if I sell copies of this, it's when I sell copies of this. It's like if I put this up, I know I'm gonna sell it, and I'm being creative right now. I got it in me. Like so it's people are moving a little bit faster, and maybe it was born out of a not so positive thing. Maybe it was born out of people having less attention span and moving on to new shit too fast, but maybe it's having some positive results in terms of being able to pace
and it works because you can make an album in January and then drop an album in July that's completely different, and people just look at those as separate projects, not even
and both
connected.
Have impact. Both have the impact you want it to have, and don't step on each other.
Right,
and
step on each other's
probably
toes.
build upon each other. To be honest, like if they come in on the new one and then they go, "Oh, you got one from just a few months ago," they're gonna be more likely than they see one from 4 years ago. Maybe they'll check it out, but if they see one from a few months ago, they'll be like, "What's up?" Like,
people will stock up on you. And so a conspiracy theory for people. This is I've been thinking a lot because we're thinking about like trap sounds and like this was a great year where regions were just great. I'm a regions person, right? I'm from Maine, and I never felt really a part of any region. People in New York don't care about people in Maine. People in Massachusetts don't care about people in Maine. No one even knows Maine is around. So it's fine. I got to observe everything from afar. And so this year, if you wanted West Coast shit, you had Larry June, you had Vince Staples, you had hot shit out of the West, right? If you wanted Memphis shit, you're loving it, right? There's a lot of great Memphis shit. There's Luca, right? You know, Pro, and yeah, just there's even, you know, yeah, there's a lot of on the overside, the pop side too, Moneybag Yo and all that. And then like Canada, right? Montreal, you know, you can dig into all the cool stuff going on, you know, Mike Schaub and Chung, and just lots of great people popping in all these different places with very different sounds and very different signatures in that region. Leads me to my conspiracy theory in a weird way that I think LP, I'm interested in where LP is, because underground.
Rich as fuck. Hold on. Rich as fuck.
Totally.
Not regular rich either. Like he spent they spent a few years caking it.
Yeah, 110%. 110%.
So
and good for him.
Simple answer.
Good for him. But I would say I'm interested where he's creative, right? Because I think the underground wants Run the Jewels to end and for him to come back and re-embrace this. Because this is an underground that has built a lot of itself off of the Def Juk sound. So it's kind of like, why don't you do what Juicy J did and just come back, see the sound you built, and enjoy yourself? And so he pops in, and he'll kill verses for Droog or for whoever else. And shout out to Droog. I am blocked by Droog, so I'm a part of that club. But so LP like clearly isn't doing that though. He clearly is not like making an album with Argov, right? Like that's just not what he's doing. But I also don't think he will do Run the Jewels forever, right? I think this is just my brain. I think he's looking for a third option. And it hasn't presented itself. I think he's like, I'm going to keep doing Run the Jewels until someone presents me a third option where I'm not rehashing my old shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be easier for him for solo work and other stuff because he is the sound of Run the Jewels, like that.
Right.
That's his production, and you know, obviously he brings other people in too, but it's his ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that it'll be interesting because you know, I'm someone that like my introduction to LP was Run the Jewels. Like I missed out on everything. So cool. just going back, I'm like, okay, I see why all this makes sense. But yeah, that I don't know, like I can see.
So you don't really have a conspiracy theory. You're just curious. You're just like me as well. You're just curious what he's gonna do next.
Well, so I guess the conspiracy theory at the heart of this is like the reason why he's not giving you what you want underground is because he looks at it and says this isn't good enough. Like he's looking at this and saying, no, I don't want more of that. I'm going to dip in to your party, say hello, drop a killer verse, but it's not where I want it yet, right? I need to do something new, and this isn't what you're offering isn't actually new to me.
Huh.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, to me, that's part of my conspiracy theory is like to me, that's probably like why the Wu isn't more involved on underground stuff. They're just like, we did this 30 years ago. I don't care.
Now, which part of the Wu though? Because I hate to do it, but I'm gonna come back to the Rich thing because a certain percentage of the woo is also like rich.
Yeah.
And like
that's fair.
So you might just be a real big fan of the creative weird shit, but you're like, I would go into the studio, but also this house that I'm in, I could just stay here. I don't know, like, yeah. Because imagine if I started working with crazy underground producers, that would be crazy. They would sound so good over that shit.
Yeah. Listen, I tried. Like, Hive was supposed to be a Capadonna song. Right. And he was just running around everywhere. And we're just like, all right, fuck it. We'll just get him to like talk at the end.
Okay. Shout out to Kappa. But Mighty Healthy Inspected Deck did exactly what you're saying. He re-embraced the underground stuff that was really woo based. He jumped into Czarface, and he's had great success in Czarface.
Yeah,
Killer Priest drops all these crazy
Killer
tapes
Priest still out there making it happen. So yeah, but it's a money divide, right? Like, obviously, Meth is not going to come off his movie set, right? To go to Doves and get a grungy beat, like he's not going to do that.
Listen, I've tried, man. I've sent Joyce all of them. Like, I've tried.
Yeah, but I think someone like Ghostface might have that issue, right? Ghostface might be like, do these beats really inspire me, or are they just retreads of what I did before? You know?
Yeah, like you have to play the right stuff. Like, you can't just, I'm gonna make a Wu-Tang. Like, you gotta, it's like, remember, and you know, that's also another producer topic, you know. As a producer, you can't rehash what the person has done in the past. You have to kind of have to predict the future. Predict the future, like, but also imagine like, oh, I really want this person to do this, and kind of find a way to blend that.
You got to have a vision. Like I think we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. The best producers have a vision for the artist that they're working with. Like, what is the best version of this artist? And then they're able to create a track that reflects that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And Dove, the one I think of when we talk about that is Alchemist, right? Because Alchemist comes off Haram, where he changed his sound to meet the Armand Hammer sound, and then goes into Elephant Man's Bones and serves rock exactly what he needs.
Yeah, Alchemist is on his. It's debatable whether it could be a fifth wave by now, but it's at the very least he's on his third wave, and not just like regular waves, but like waves with these really high peaks at the peak of each of them, you know, and like, so him dipping all the way back down to the underground and then scooping them back up and bringing all that stuff at its peak. It's fascinating. Like,
he's his own genre at this point.
Yeah. He, you know, that's, I mean, he started the record label, right? He's like, forget it. Like, he doesn't run a traditional record label where the music comes out only that he produces, you know. Like, that's the Alec Records is a genre / record label, right? Like, I know what you're saying. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's fascinating. But it doesn't happen on the inverse, kind of what you're talking about. These really, really, really popular rappers don't seem to dip back into the underground. Imagine somebody executive producing a Ghostface Killah album and picking beats from the Nicholas Cravens of the underground one, you know, and putting that together. It would sound insane, you know, like.
Yeah, no, it's you wish it would more, but like, I don't know, it's, you know, some
Child
stuff.
Actor Ghostface Killah would go pretty hard.
A what?
Child Actor Ghostface Killah would go crazy.
Let's go. I'm telling you know, if what would a Busta Rhymes underground album sound like?
Oh man,
yeah, that I would send to you, Mighty.
Yeah, like, it's funny because Ace and I are also big Busta fans, so like a lot of the joints also was like, no, if we could get Busta, like it'll be just like, because even with Gotham, I sampled Busta, like that's him throughout the song, like yeah, like, you know,
I fucking love Busta Rhymes.
Just start with Raw Digga, man. Get Raw Digga.
Oh yeah.
You're right, dig it. But yeah, and yeah, it's yeah, there's just been a lot of really cool, interesting, different sounds. Some gross sounds, some tough sounds, but some really genuinely fun, confident, stylistic sounds. Right? Some people that have been around for a while kind of made their best albums. Right?
Yeah.
Concept Jackson just put out one. Fly Anakin Frank, like people just really stepping up, and I think that's awesome. And do you think people are picking better beats?
People are trusting producers better.
Yeah.
People are also becoming better producers.
100%. See, I
Yeah.
think that people have been very good rappers for a very long time, and they've been very good producers for a very long time. But like, yeah, there's more producers now, and they're getting better and weird. Yeah, that I think nails it.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's good when the longer two people work together, the better they get at meeting each other in the middle. So it's like it just of course it's gonna keep getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And there's a lot of good options out there that are people that are just achievable.
Mhm.
You know, and that's another thing I've loved is, and we've talked about this before, K, people like August Fanon, who is an incredible top shelf. Messiah Music is like this too, top shelf underground person, but will work with interesting people who might not be thought of as top shelf, right?
Mm-hmm.
And make music to make something interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And yeah, and that kind of lends to the Alchemist thing of just like fucking, I just do whatever I want. Like I do what I want and people still like it. Like,
it's that shit where you hear somebody plays you a verse. In this case, we know the story. Like Earl played them some Arm and Hammer shit. He was like, "Who the fuck are these guys? What's up?" You just when you hear somebody play you some shit where you're just like, "I would send them beats right now. Like, let's go. Like, I only needed to hear 2-3 verses, and it's just like, what's up? I'll send them back over right now. Like,
I have yet to meet Ace in person. Like I think he had found me on an Instagram ad or something, and then I was scrolling through his page. I'm like, oh, I don't know, I'm not gonna try. I'm just gonna send him stuff, and then
Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
And I think the environment, particularly in 2022, the environment is set up to for experimentation. It's fertile. Like it's very like collaborating, experimenting is much easier now than it was 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, well, and I think to build on all the points, I think there was a point in rap history, probably near the mixtape era, where it got pretty ugly, and people were just like, "Give me your beat packs, and I'm gonna spit." 2022 had a lot of really great relationships where producers and rappers valued each other and made something interesting. Thinking of like Infinity Knives and Brian Ennals,
crazy.
Just where you can feel that interaction between the two of them as important forces, right? Thinking K of like, the deep hug between Madlib and Freddie Gibbs from a few years ago, right? Like it's become more understood that like, no, you should be getting produced.
Yeah. Because like I could always tell when, and I'm sure Dov, you've heard like when you hear albums and you're just, oh no, this wasn't produced. This was off a beat tape. Like this wasn't tailored.
Yeah.
And so you just start getting. I think also the consumer has also gotten smarter.
Yeah.
So you hear it just like, oh no, the quality is just not there. I don't care.
There's unique curation.
Yeah.
Curation is really good. Woods is good at executive producing records and choosing, the order, but then curating the beats as well, making sure there's a cohesion to the, and Castro did it with Metal Lung. Like, you create a sound, a world to an album.
That's another warning I would have for people out there. As the production gets better out there and more available, the outrage is much more when you have resources and you put out a collection of bad beats. People are like, what the fuck is this? And sometimes I'll listen to it and be like, no, these beats aren't that bad. And I was thinking of like the Pusha T album where people were like, man, his production is good. I'm like, dude, it's half Kanye, half
bro. Worst opening song I've ever heard, though. How do you put
that was a weird
first?
opener.
How do you put that song for any? How does something like that happen? It doesn't sound like an opening song. There's 3 other songs that sound like opening songs. Like, it's crazy that the album opened that poorly.
And like, it's funny trying to explain to my non-production. I'm like, yo, this is the worst idea.
It doesn't work. It
like,
doesn't
why?
sonically sound. Yes.
Yeah,
that blew my mind. That
and it's weird because when you hear "Smokers Shot in the Coops," you're like, "Oh, that probably should be the first song."
Like, I mean, it would definitely be the first song over that one.
Yeah,
yeah, like, because it's like that was weird, and and the thing is, like, Pusha T is another one of those where like the intros you really set the tone, and I'm like,
yeah,
huh, and you still like the song, but you're just like, why he do that?
That's a middle of the album good song.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no,
that shit matters. That shit matters
big time.
To my point, that like if he puts that out years ago, if he puts that out in 2015, people are like, this shit's great, because I think our levels are higher for album cohesion and consistent sonics. I think we are, as an audience,
yes,
thinking about that more.
I brought it up earlier, like people are, the underground drives the mainstream popular stuff. So since the underground moved to that 40-minute because they can sell LPs, they made more cohesive, actual matter sounding albums. Even CDs were 60 minutes with bonus tracks and a DVD and all this shit. It was about abundance, and right. It was like so yeah, like it all drives itself upwards. So yeah, like I think it loops it around.
Yeah, that was such a weird, like, just the more I think about it, looking at the track list, I'm like, I would have moved some things around.
Yeah.
Insane sequencing on that album. Fever dream, poor sequencing. Like, couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and the line, there's so much competition. That's another thing. There's so much competition for attention nowadays. So any little mistake, like I would feel like an artist, like, if they turn my album off, I may never get them again.
Right.
Because no one's buying like physical albums. Like back in the day, like you bought a physical album, you weren't feeling it. You just put it, you not throw it away. You just put it on the shelf, maybe come back to it. People aren't coming back to music like that anymore. Like if it doesn't hit them at the first listen,
you need a cult following, or you better be famous.
Yeah, and like that's why my intros are just so fucking aggressive.
Right.
Because
right.
I'm still early in that point where I'm still kind of audience here. And so most people that are probably listening to me either don't like me or don't know me, and or they're just like, oh, some guy recommended this. Let me just check whatever this dude is doing. Oh, this album cover looks weird. What's going on here? And like, whoa, okay, I'm good now.
Yeah.
Like if I started with Brambleton, like, or whatever that song was called, like,
weird.
Nobody be talking about this album.
Fair. That's fair. But I mean, it is competitive. I was telling a friend of mine, I've never listened to more music in my life than 2022. Like somebody on one of the Discords was like, I listened to 518 projects this year. I'm like,
wow,
you're hundreds behind me. Hundreds
behind you?
Behind me. That's only
Okay, that went a different direction, like 100's behind. Wow.
2 albums a day at least. I'm a lot more than I don't track my shit like through last.fm or anything. Like a lot of people are tracking that. I don't have numbers, but there's no way 2 a day.
I wonder how many, because I have an issue. I mean, it sounds like we have the same issue where I kind of have to listen to new music.
Yeah.
I have to hear new shit all the time, but it's just because like that's what I use to make music. I can't make a beat until I like listen to a bunch of music. Like
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I wonder how many projects I've listened to because it's a lot.
Yeah, like when I'm in album mode, it's hard for me to like not to say I become a mean person when it's album time, but it's usually because I've already listened to a bunch of stuff, and so now it's album time, and so now everything is just tunnel vision. So anything that came out from like February to May, I'm going back to now.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
So even the Kendrick, I'm like, okay, man, we dropping next week. I'll listen to it in July. Like,
yeah.
You know, so.
And that's the thing. I feel like, Dan, like sometimes you just have to keep up with the week's releases, because you know that like if you heard of 2 good projects that come out that week, you know that if you miss them, you're gonna have at least 3 or 4 projects that come out next week. So there's like this anxiety, like, yo, I gotta listen to it this week, or I probably will never get to it.
And and I'll tell you, Kate, because I'm a sick fucking person. Like there's albums I don't like that I've heard 4 times. Because
you are sick. Yeah, that is
like I don't want to be the person that didn't give this the right shot, you know?
Sure.
Like, and re-listenability is hard when there's a lot of new music, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I want to make sure I'm running shit a bunch of times to evaluate how important it is. And there's some major albums I skipped. Skipped. It was just like, nope, you know, like I don't need it, you know.
There's another thing of when you already know what an album is going to sound like, and like first couple songs, like, yeah, I'm right, I'm not gonna listen to this no more, even if it's good.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I didn't listen to Hitler's Pretty Cool 10 like at all. I just skipped it. I was like, I've listened to like 9 of these and I've never gotten anything out of this. I'm done. So I took some of those off, and
you
know, it made room for me to dig into interesting shit, you know, like not really like Days Past Strange, you know.
I'm glad you listened to that. Aloe Vera, they're really cool. Like totally, you know, new to pretty much anybody who hears them. That you know, So it's really
beautiful. It was great to listen to, and there's albums that people aren't talking about that they should listen to, which brings me, Kay, if there's no more things to talk about, to recommendation corner.
Yeah.
Anybody have a final thought, a stump speech, or anything?
That's not a recommendation?
No, just to wrap up 2022 in music.
Oh no, I mean, it's all beautiful. There's so much shit. Yeah.
Good deal.
Man, I'm sorry, man. Listen, if you listen to my shit, man. Loose Ends beat tape came out a couple weeks ago. Mighty Cannons, we got stuff, things, whatever. Listen to that.
GrimeyNobody.com, everybody.
GrimeyNobody.com. Album of the year at checkout for 20% off. I might make it 25 for the holidays. I might not. You just have to go figure it out.
Hashtag plug season. We're doing it.
The what?
Hashtag plug season.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So I'm gonna go. My recommendation is going to be Mickey Blanco, Stay Close to Music, from October. Mickey Blanco has been a really important person in music for years and years. And never gotten the coverage because of just not being a heterosexual individual, right? That's just what it is. The talent was always there, and it is always there. So this album's really cool. Has some really interesting stuff on it. There's like an album called "Your Feminism Is Not My Feminism," which is really cool. Yeah, Ketamine is great. The Saul Williams is on this.
He said October.
Yeah, it came out in October. Yep. It's on Bandcamp.
Avenger Banhart is on it.
Oof. Yeah. No, it's another great one.
Okay.
Another great
Michael Stipe is on
artist who's awesome. Like
they got Michael Stipe on it. They got REM on the
yeah,
album.
man. Yeah, I was. Whew. It's great. The other one I would say to look out for, to buy now, to have a present later. February 2023, a new album is going to drop by Liv, Liv.E, called Girl in the Half Pearl.
Nice.
Liv has real potential to be like the Erykah Badu of this generation. Like, Liv is brilliant, and so I'm very excited for this project and all those talents on display. So, is it being produced by the same person? She has somebody she deals with that does all the stuff.
Yeah, and I know they work a lot with Pink Sifu as well.
Yeah, yep. So it's good. LA based, Dallas raised, Liv. So that's my thing.
Nice.
What do you have any recommendations, Mighty Healthy, since you've been
Oh no, I just plugged everything, listen to all the things, buy a hat or a poster, Mighty Cannons and loose ends. As far as stuff I listened to recently, just I'm gonna plug Griff's album, Fireside Chats 2.
Fireside Chats 2.
That album is dope, man. Like,
great project.
Griff is one of my favorite producer friends, and he definitely knocked it out the park. And like that's another thing we were talking about earlier with having these producer projects, and he has enough range to just like really keep you dialed in, and it was a great project.
When I first got to listen to it, I was just like, in a year full of amazing Teller Banks shit, how the fuck did he get like the best Teller Banks performance? Like on Discman, on that lead, that's monstrous.
And I'm still kind of mad at him because he keeps getting Ace and Def C songs before I do. And like it's like, yeah, because he has more coming. I'm like, come on, man.
No, Griff is amazing. I've told Griff that the thing I love about him is that, like, if Ghostface comes in the room, he's like, yeah, let's produce an album. But if Kesha walked in the room and was like, let's do an album, he'd be like, yeah, no problem, let's go.
Like, his range is awesome.
Everywhere. His range is everywhere. So, his ears are everywhere. So, shout out to Griff. Dove, give me some recommendations.
Well, definitely check out Metal Lung by Shrapnel and Days Past Strange by Aloe Vera. And then stuff that, I guess stuff that I'm not working on or that I'm not friends with. Do you guys know Timothy Duval or Duval Timothy?
Yeah.
I've heard the name.
So it's crazy because he got famous this year because he did Crowns on Kendrick album.
Yep.
Just that piano. That piano loop is like 4 or 5 years old from one of his older albums. Anyway, Duval Timothy dropped a new album, I think a few weeks ago. I can't think of the name of it, but I could pull it up. It's instrumental stuff. There's not a ton of vocals. Like, it's just really, really weird.
Phenomenal
jazzy
production. Yeah.
Oh, he is one of the best. And all that Salt shit. You guys fuck with Salt?
Yes.
So much salt. We got so much salt.
Bro, do you know who I'm talking about though? The band Salt? Yeah. Okay.
We got assaulted with Salt albums this year.
Inflow, that production, I can turn that shit. That might be some of the best mixing, the best.
Oh, that's fair.
Sounding music. You could turn that shit up so loud and it sounds so, that shit blew my mind. So Salt and Duval Timothy. The Duval Timothy album is called Meeting with the Judas Tree.
There was
fuck with shirts, new album's dope.
Oh, Shirt's new album is really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was one of my favorite albums of this year. It's called An Orange Colored Sky, and it's by Amira Adira.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Amira Adira. Oh, Arima, Arimaedera. And I was texting Zilla, and I was like, "This is the beauty of living in a post-Salt world, right? Where R&B can be a lot of different stuff, and it doesn't have to be the way it was. Inflow has really changed and bridged a lot of sounds.
Bro, that shit is so good. I can listen to
Yeah.
all the like the Christian lyrics, like all the God lyrics. Like it's I'm usually not into like their lyrics lean, especially the new albums lean heavily on gospel, specifically God and praising or whatever. And I usually maybe get a little turned off by that sometimes.
Mhm.
The music is so fucking good, it doesn't matter to me. Like the Salt is ridiculous, bro.
The pull quote is Steel Tip Dove is turned off by God. Where that's the title of the
capital G G-O-D shit.
Yeah. Yep. That's gonna be great. But yes, so that is, but yeah, Salt is that sound is highly influential. This does feel a little like the Jurassic Park soundtrack phase of Salt. Where it's very soundtrack atmospheric. It's super vibey. It's not for everybody, but yeah, no, it's interesting. And thank you for dropping that. Kay, what are you listening to?
Nothing new. I listened to the SZA album.
Ooh.
Which was, I got to give that another listen, but it was interesting. It was good. But other than that, like nothing new on the docket.
How do you feel about SZA's first album?
Control or
Control. I guess I don't know. I don't know the one before Control.
This is not like this. SOS is not Control. Yeah,
Control is a literal masterpiece.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, her voice still sounds beautiful. But it's not like I felt like Control had songs. Like I think The Weeknd was one of the best songs of the last like 20 years.
Yes.
R&B songs.
But Kay, I think this is a really good album after your classic, right?
Yeah.
Where you get back to work and you make good stuff. There's a lot of great music on there.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
incredible writing.
Yes. Yeah. Incredible writing. You could tell like she's been really exploring her sound, exploring what sound she wants to do over the past 5 years as well.
I tweeted that while I was doing the first listen to the SZA, I was rewinding songs and listening to them multiple times. Mm-hmm. And I just rarely do that on a first listen. But it was just like, what did she say? What did she say? Like, it was just so gripping. She's just a really good songwriter. So
very good songwriter, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. So that's good stuff. Okay, I've started the Chippendales TV show.
Oh my gosh. Good segue, yes.
And I'm just not used to Camille Nanjiani's jacked Camille Nanjiani yet. It's strange. And it's okay. Like, look, be whoever you want to be, but like he got so jacked his head changed.
Yeah, that's what happens.
He's like Barry Bonds jacked. Like it's weird.
That's what happens.
I'm a huge Nanjiani fan going all the way back to Beta Male and all that stuff. So it was just it's taken me some time to get used to, but he's still very good. Yeah.
That's funny.
Be careful when you get so buff you change your head. That's all. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. And the list season. The funny thing about list season's coming up. Everybody's releasing their lists. Is very few people do it like I do. I keep a list going all fucking year.
Mm-hmm.
I had a top 10 list in January. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I really did. Kay knows I'm annoying.
you do. Yeah,
Yeah. So my list, I'm like, my list lives and breathes every day. Like every day I'm shuffling it.
it's a living, like, what do they say? It's a living document.
Sometimes I'll go up to
Living document.
artists when they enter the Zoom and I'm like, your album drove me crazy in the list. Every time I tried to move it down, it kept coming up. It was terrible. It was annoying.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so it just lives and breathes all year. So I'm not stressing about the list.
Lists are so hard because it's just you're obviously going to be biased towards what you like, and you're always going to leave somebody out that you did like. Somebody's always going to be mad, like, you know. So I've definitely seen lists where I'm like, what is wrong with you? And I just got, I'm like, let me just keep scrolling.
No, it's lists are important, not in an actual way, of course.
Yeah,
but they're important.
Human nature. We have to list things.
They're important for our thing because they declare where you stand, right?
Yeah.
Like as a publication, Rolling Stone releases a list every year. Every year it's terrible, and we know who they are. And I'm glad that I know who they are, right? I know their personality.
Right.
So, editorial voice, right? Your list is a test of your editorial voice. Shout out to Gary Suarez. Always Gary Suarez and nails his lists. I love it.
So you say lists don't determine what's good or not, just determines what your values are.
Yeah.
Yep.
And expressing your values.
It's your shopping cart.
Yeah.
Your shopping cart. You're putting that shit in it. So yeah. Don't turn it on the artists. It's look at whose shopping cart it is. So yeah, that would be my thing. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome home, Brittany Griner.
Yeah.
What will tomorrow